What's up, everybody? It's your boy Duel back with another video, and today we'll be breaking down the Across the Spider-Verse trailer 2, and this one's the international trailer, so it's not too different from the one we got, the official release, but this is the international one, so there's a couple of tidbits there. So let's jump right in.
Sometimes, to do what's right, we have to give up the thing we want the most.
You know the
I
sacrifices.
wake up knowing that the more people I try to save, the more enemies I will make.
You know the triumphs.
This is my chance to prove myself.
So I just want to point out right here, and this isn't really a critique, but it's like Tobey and Andrew show their sacrifices as being Spider-Man, and we know what they've done and what they've had to actually sacrifice when they become Spider-Man. And then you got Tom Holland, and he's like, "All right, I want to prove myself." I'm like, that's the best line you could pick. I guess they couldn't show the Aunt May death because that's way too spoilery, but I digress.
Anyone can wear the mask. But how you wear it, that's what matters.
Okay, so right away, Gwen is recruiting Miles, and before we understood everything that was happening in the trailer, Gwen is basically, I think she's basically peeping on Miles, like ever since their first adventures in the first Spider-Verse trailer, and this one she's been kind of keeping an eye on him, like watching him, and now like she's gotten recruited to this Spider Society. She's like, okay, now we can run around. She's probably breaking the rules because that sounds like something Gwen would do. And getting Miles out of there because he's just kind of just going through the motions and probably not in the best state of mind right now and trying to figure out how to be Spider-Man and dealing with everything that happened from the first movie. So she comes in and grabs him, and they go out and have a little bit of fun before all the craziness starts to happen.
Want to get out of here?
Oh, Gwen? So wait a minute, there's an elite crew with all...
Okay, so right away, this is a major plot point, but it is what it is from Sony. So right away we get Jessica Drew, and before we jump into all the different Spider-Man after her, Miles mentions that there's an elite crew. Like, wait a minute, there's an elite crew with all the best Spider people in it, and Jessica Drew is one of them. And let's keep going here. You can see she's very pregnant, which is pretty cool to see, and it goes pretty quick here, so you have to excuse me while I pan through this. So we've got Jessica Drew. We've got Spider-Punk, and as you can see here, his animation style is a little different. So I'm betting, based on what we see next with Spider-Man India, that every different Spider-Man has a different animation style. Like Miles has his own animation style, Gwen has her own, Spider-Man India has his own animation style, and as you get the idea, Jessica Drew has her, Spider-Punk. So my point is, I think it's going to be really cool to see what all the different animation styles that every single Spider-Man has from all these different universes. So it's really cool how they're doing that and adapting, and they're not adapting, but expanding upon the animation that they developed in the first movie. So I think that's really cool.
Who's the new guy? This is unbelievable.
Okay, so right away, we see all the Spider-Men, and Gwen says that this is the lobby. So let me go back here, because there's all kinds of different Spider-Men here, and I'm not going to go through each and every single Spider-Man. You all probably seen a bigger YouTuber that's pointed these out, so there's no real point for me to go and do that. But I mean, right away we got the Bombastic Spider-Man, and I think this one is Flash Thompson Spider-Man. But yeah, there's all kinds of different Spider-Man just sitting in the lobby. Is that Where Spider-Man? I can't really make it out. He looks like almost looks like a hedgehog, but he's like a werewolf. But anyway, so all these Spider-Men are like looming in a lobby. I wonder if they're like been recruited and they're like being interviewed by Miguel OHara. I'm not really sure, but we'll get to Miguel here in just a second.
Miguel OHara.
And there he is, Miguel OHara, 2099.
The whole thing was his idea.
So the whole thing was his idea. So most likely, after the events of the first Spider-Verse, either this triggers Miguel OHara to form the Spider Society to fix all these messes, and I think they're going to call them incursions in this movie too, but we'll see. But basically, every single Spider-Verse that got messed up because of what happened in Miles' universe, and now Miguel OHara is out here trying to fix all that. Or he could have already been doing these things, and he's been watching this entire time, and now that he saw what Miles did, it's messed up everything, and this could be a precursor to why Miguel doesn't like Miles. So, but yeah, either way, he's sort of like the Doctor Strange of the Spider-Verse, if you want to look at it that way. Versus where the Spider-Verse just relates to only everything Spider-Man related, and then Doctor Strange deals with the multiverse, where it's like it's not just Spider-Man he's dealing with everybody in everybody's universe, where, as I mentioned before, Miguel OHara, he's just dealing with what's in relation to Spider-Man. So we might get more of that in the Madam Web movie. This movie might tie into that, along with No Way Home and along with Andrew and Tobey and Tom and every single other Spider-Man movie that in potentially media that you can think of. Sony might go all in here and say everything is connected to the Spider-Verse, so they can build up to some overarching Spider-Man live-action story that they can do like an Endgame style down the line. However that turns out, that sounds pretty good. If it's good anyway, right? So we'll continue with the trailer.
Idea.
What's a guy got to do to join this spider team?
You can never be part of this.
So right away, Miles is like, "Oh, this is pretty cool. Elite team of Spider-Man. How do I get on?" And Miguel's like, "No, you can never be part of this team." And the way he says it is like he's already mad at Miles, and the way that this scene is shot here. I'm pointing as if you can see me, but see me pointing at where I'm putting on screen. And he's like, "Don't get me started on Doctor Strange, the little nerd back on Earth 19999." So yeah, that's a lot of Earths. A lot of different 1999s. Yeah, good one. Anyway, so there's a lot of confusion around this, and people are like, "Wait a minute, MCU is Universe 616." Well, let me stop you there. Let me explain that to you. So really, how it works is in the Spider-Verse, they have a different way of labeling things. So it's just all in relation to Spider-Man and the Spider-Verse. Think of it like if you've seen The Flash and you understand the Flash universe and how the Speed Force works, it's kind of like that, right? So, and it's the Spider-Verse, right? So the Spider-Verse, they have their own labels for all these different universes. In the MCU, Doctor Strange has his own labeling system. For the MCU main continuity, it's Universe 616. And here in the Spider-Verse, where they label all their different universes, it's Earth 19 or 199999. There's 5 nines. So hopefully that clears that up. And if you're just more confused as well, then maybe I gotta get better at explaining things.
Even get me started on Doctor Strange and the little nerd back on Earth 199999.
And right away, I should mention that this is obviously a reference to No Way Home. So whether or not Tobey or Andrew are actually in this, I don't really know for sure. I'm going to be willing to bet that they are in some capacity, but you could also argue that this is just a reference to everything that's happened in No Way Home, and that Miguel OHara is aware of Tobey and Andrew in their universes and every other live-action Spider-Man that comes before or after this. It's all connected, right?
Come on, go easy on the kid. He had a terrible teacher.
Peter,
Miles!
you have a
Okay, so Peter B. Parker shows up, pretty much like, you had a terrible teacher, and, and now we see you've got Mayday Parker. So it's not really clear to me if this means that Peter B. Parker is on the Spider Society, or if he was just in the lobby and he's just passing through. I don't know why he would be on the Spider Society, given everything that he went through in the first movie, and the fact that now he kind of looks like he's just in dad mode, so he can't really be a full-fledged Spider-Man anymore. I am not really sure. And let me just point out really quick that this has to be hot as shit, right? He's got to be sweating. Like, oh my god, a full Spider-Man costume and a robe. So that's hot as shit. Plus, he's got a baby on his chest. Like, oh my god, he'd be dying. Anyway, I digress. We'll continue.
You have a baby.
I have a baby.
I'll take it from here.
And of course, Miguel OHara, he's just not having. He's like, please God, and he just doesn't like what's happening.
Miles, being Spider-Man is a sacrifice.
So this shot was interesting. I don't see a ton of people talking about this shot, but it's like I'm trying to make sense of it here. But like, if this is supposed to be like Gwen's Peter, which I don't actually, I don't think that it is. Because look, he's wearing a Spider-Man costume. So maybe she's just like grieving the fact that it's a different Spider-Man that she couldn't save. And it's Peter, and she's already been through that trauma. But yeah, he's like wearing like a almost like a Spider-Man costume. Um, so I'm not really sure what's going on here, but maybe this is we'll get that in the movie.
Sacrifice.
You have a choice between saving one person and saving every world.
So let's talk about that real quick because this is going to tie into, and this is another major plot point for the movie potentially. Is that it's gonna be two good people, so it's gonna be Miguel OHara versus Miles Morales, both Spider-Man, both good people, right? I mean, you would hope. And Miguel is pretty much is telling Miles like, hey man, you know, we could save every single Uncle Ben or every single little person because we're the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, or we could make these bigger sacrifices, make these bigger changes that affect the overarching Spider-Verses. Now, like maybe some Spider-Man end up having to die because of X reason, and that's how, that's how these universes continue to go. Like this is how it is. It has to be this way. Just like in Miles' universe, there was a version of Chris Pine, and his Peter Parker died in the first movie. He had like bleach blonde hair or whatever. But yeah, so it's like, and Miles probably doesn't agree with that. So it's very similar to the plot line in No Way Home, where Peter's like, well, I don't care that, you know, these guys got killed by a different version of me. I'm going to try to save them and do my thing. And that's pretty much what Miles is doing in this movie. Like, hey, okay, I don't agree with that. We're still the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. And they elaborate that on the trailer here in just a second.
Send me home. I can't do that.
I can do both. Spider-Man always.
Not always.
What about Uncle Ben?
If not for Uncle...
Yeah, so basically what Peter B. Parker is saying here is that without Uncle Ben, Spider-Man wouldn't exist. So some people have to die. You can't save everybody. And that might be the lesson that they're trying to give Miles. And that's the same lesson that Doctor Strange tries to give Peter Parker, is like, these people have to die for these certain events to happen so that the universe can go on and you know, exist the way that it does in the main continuity. So there's no incursions, I guess. And so Miles probably doesn't agree with that. It's like, hey, if I had a chance to save Uncle Ben, if I could go back and be Spider-Man and save Uncle Ben or save whoever, save X, maybe save his uncle, the Prowler, right? You know, he would take that chance. But that's probably where the disagreement happens here between him and Miguel, is that, you know, I don't agree with just letting them die just because they're supposed to die. I'm going to try and save them. And the only thing I don't understand about this trailer here, and we'll talk about that here in just a second.
Oh, Ben, most of us wouldn't be here.
Can't stop me now! You can't run forever, kid!
Okay, so what I wanted to talk about here, oh my god, this shot looks so good, is that why is Miguel after Miles? Why doesn't he just let him go home? So I'm guessing either Miles does something to one of the Spider-Verses and it just pisses Miguel off, and it's like, okay, well, you can't be here, you can't be doing this, I have to lock you up until we finish what we've done and fix everything, because Miles is just here making it worse. Or he steals that time traveling, that band that Gwen had at the beginning and runs off with it, and you know, he's gonna do his own thing and whatever else. There has to be some sort of reasoning for them to actually physically fight, right? Because 29-9's obviously a version of Spider-Man. He's not evil. He just disagrees with how Miles is being Spider-Man. So, yeah, I think that's going to be interesting. We'll see how that plays out.
I can't lose one more friend.
Miguel, this isn't what we talked about.
You knew?
I have no idea what you're doing!
Everyone keeps telling me how my story is supposed to go. Nah, I'm gonna do my own thing.
All stations, stop Spider-Man!
And of course, we get the perfect pointing meme, and they just did it perfectly. And we've got the Scarlet Spider, and we've got SpiderMan PS4. Yeah, they finally did it right. I don't know if Spider-Man PS4 is gonna have any sort of actual plot point in this movie. Highly doubtful. Most likely it's just, hey, look, it's Spider-Man PS4, he's in the game, that's cool. But yeah, pointing means done perfectly here, and I love it.
And then I looked at my uncle and
let me guess, he died.
Yeah, so overall, great trailer. First impressions that I think Sony revealed a little too much in this trailer. I mean, this is pretty classic Sony. They do this with all of their movies. They did it with Homecoming. They did it with Far From Home. They did it with The Amazing Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man 2, where you can pretty much piece together how these movies are going to go, and it's very unfortunate, but it is what it is. That about wraps it up for me. I don't really have any much more to add, but I just wanted to say really quick, if you made it this far to the end of the video, I just want to say thank you so much for watching, and while you're here, if you could, please hit the like and subscribe button. It really helps out the channel a lot, and I really appreciate it. And if you want to see more Spider-Man content, you know, the subscribe button's there. So anyway, I'm Dual Dyer. Thank you guys so much for watching, and remember, great power comes great responsibility. I'm Dual Dyer, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.